This is the kind of Christmas tree you get when you have cats. So, it's been a long time since I've uploaded, and there are a multitude of reasons for that. Honestly, I've been kind of lost. I was really hoping to do NaNoWriMo this year, even if it was one that was kind of like last year where it's not really NaNoWriMo, it's kind of my own thing. But November is like the worst month that NaNoWriMo could take place. It's my birthday, it's Thanksgiving, it's for my current job, it's the worst probably month of the entire year, possibly. I've been really stressed. That's kind of the story of my life for the past, since COVID, I guess. So the past like couple of years. And then something happened in November, which isn't really a big deal, but for some reason I've, my head is created into this big deal, which is that I turned 30. I don't really care about turning 30 in terms of getting older and getting wrinkles and gray hair. I've had gray hair since I was a teenager, so I don't care about that. Oh yeah, and I dyed my hair purple. This is my first video on my writing channel with my purple hair. Actually, my first video on either of my channels with my purple hair. I'm very sad that I didn't show you the newly done purple hair because I have had to, reapply color and it's changed and shifted over time. But I have purple hair and that makes me so happy. So let's start this off on a good note, a much better note than the whole 30 saga before I go into that. I have wanted purple hair for many years. I've not been bold enough to do it. I also didn't know if it would really be a good idea to do it in Paris because people don't really dye their hair non-natural colors in Paris and people can be kind of a little judgy about certain fashion choices. But now that I'm in New York, the place where literally like there is always gonna be someone with crazier fashion and more fun and adventurous fashion than you, or than me at least. So purple hair is not that weird here and I'm very happy about it. But we'll see what happens as my roots grow out and how long I keep it. I'm probably gonna go back to a more maintainable color at one point, but I'm so happy to have purple hair. Anyway, so yeah, I turned 30 and I don't really care about turning 30 for the age, but I have done this thing that I think a lot of us do, which is tying goals that I have in life and I guess my measure of success of myself in terms of my professional success, my writing success, my creative success. I have tied that to age and I've always had a problem with doing this. I'm certainly not alone. I know a lot of people feel it and it's hard not to because everyone in the writing industry, but also in every industry in the world, puts a lot of emphasis on young people accomplishing great things, and that, applies to writing. You have people who are published in their teens, you have people who hit bestseller lists in their, early 20s, and that's fantastic. Not to take anything away from people who do that because that's great, but the majority of us do not do that. And it doesn't mean that we're not successful as a creator, and it also doesn't mean that those things might not be coming in the future. Not that I have to hit bestseller lists to feel accomplished, but I have goals like I want to be published, and I have goals like I want to write more. I want to get to a place where I feel like writing is a lot more of a prominent part of my day. And age is one of those markers that I somehow have in the back of my head as an indication of how I'm doing. And that's, not smart. I know that, and that's not fair to myself, and I don't apply that to anyone else. If I find out someone's getting published, it's a fantastic thing for them and I'm excited for them. I don't care if they're 18 or if they're 80. I'm excited for someone if they tell me they're getting published. That's a really exciting thing. I get excited when someone's telling me about their book that they're writing. I don't care how old they are. I just am excited if someone is, gonna write a book. So it's this measure of success that I only really put on myself. I only really put the pressure on myself. And it hit me harder than I expected it to around my 30th birthday. I think I'm feeling a lot of self-doubt, a lot of uncertainty of even what I want, not to mention what I think could be successful or I could be good at. A lot of negative emotions that I don't necessarily want to go into here. And this is the reason, a big part of the reason that I haven't been vlogging, because I don't really want to just talk about the negative aspects. I know it's important to acknowledge them, but I've not really felt like I've been in a good headspace to acknowledge them in a way that doesn't potentially just bring you down, and I do not want to bring you down. I always want this channel to be a celebration of writing and creative pursuits and reading and books and stories. It's not always going to be about only the good things, but I don't want to be in a headspace where I approach the negative things in a negative way, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm 100% there yet, to be completely honest, but I wanted to make this video anyway. I feel a little bit better. I think coming up to Christmas time, I'm looking at spending Christmas with my family. I'm actually gonna spend a long time in the Midwest. It's gonna be about 3 weeks, which I think is the longest Christmas I've ever taken. It's not a complete break. I still have to work my day job for some of those days, but I think that will be really good for me, even if I don't get a lot of writing done because I'm going to be spending time with my family, obviously. But we usually watch movies. We always watch Lord of the Rings, these things that I grew up with, these things that inspired me so deeply when I was a teenager. And I think that's what I'm losing touch with. Maybe that's also part of what scares me about turning 30. The older I get and the more I get into this weird funk with writing, the more I'm losing that like positive, energetic, just, I mean, I was so excited about stories and I still am, but I think it's kind of tainted by like all of the realities that I've been facing. All of that to say, I'm 30. I have purple hair. I am brainstorming my next book. I've not talked about this book on my channel because it's been a long time since I've filmed for this channel. I'm really trying to take it step by step and not put too much pressure on. I've been spending a lot of time on world building for this one, and I don't know if it's kind of a manifestation of this weird relationship I have with writing right now, where I'm kind of scared to get into proper outlining and I don't feel creatively energetic enough to come up with my story, if that makes sense. I have a really cool concept. I have some cool characters that are starting to kind of mold into shape, and I have some ideas for the plot, but I'm really missing the overarching purpose, you know, like where are they going? I kind of have an idea of what gets the story going, the inciting incident, that sort of thing, but I really don't know where it's gonna go. I'm missing a lot of those really big elements that make a story. And these things are not the first things to come to me usually with stories, but I'm a little bit disturbed with how slowly they're coming to me this time. I'm trying to take it piece by piece, and a lot of my time that I've dedicated to the story has been world building. An element of this book, which I will very slightly talk about here, but this needs to be a new video because I feel like I do want to go into it a lot more. A big part of the world and the story is going to be about gemstones. And I started plotting this book before I picked up the book Fable. Fable also has quite an important gemstone theme in the book. Had no idea when I picked up the book, and it became one of my favorite books of 2022. And I think it's because it has this tie-in with the gemstones. My gemstones are not like how they're used in Fable, but it's kind of this gemstone theme that I think I'm really latching onto. I'm not like a crystals person or anything like that. I don't believe in any of that, but I'm kind of getting into the geology aspects of gemstones, names that I can't pronounce. And I am a little curious about the crystal side just because I know that, you know, if this would be something that I would someday get published, it's kind of important to think about how potential readers would approach it. And if, you know, a reader is super into crystals and they pick up my book, then I kind of want to know what associations they might be putting on certain stones or colors or whatever. So I'm really getting into this wide world of geology and a little bit of crystals, I suppose, in there, but mostly geology that I have no background in and no prior knowledge. So I've been doing a lot of studying and reading and Wikipedia exploring about that. It's very time consuming, but honestly, it's been fun and it's been a way for me to find some creative energy and to feel like I am, you know, making steps, even if then when I take a step back, I'm like, I have written nothing. I have no idea what the story is, but I've learned some really cool gem facts. Before I wrap up, I will tell you what I'm reading right now because I'm very excited about it. I'm reading Mistborn. Finally, my first Brandon Sanderson book. I really enjoy Brandon Sanderson's writing tips and commentary and advice and his classes. I have watched every single one of those lectures. Every single one, and they were so good. The way he talks about writing is very powerful to me, at least, and I haven't picked up one of his books because the size intimidates me. That's what she said. They're really big books. They're really big books. I think I was intimidated by the size of just one of the books, but also by the idea that if I really enjoyed one of the books, I would want to read the next book and then the next book, and then I would get stuck in this mega series. And at the pace that I read, that would mean that I would basically only be reading Brandon Sanderson for the rest of my life. However, I have decided that I have more self-control than that. I will just read one Brandon Sanderson book. If it's really, really good, I'll buy the trilogy, the first Mistborn trilogy, and I will very slowly work my way through them. I'm about 200 pages through the first Mistborn, and I do really like it. I will say the writing style is not necessarily my favorite. I tend to like stuff that's a bit more, not flowery, but you know, a little more prosy, a little more adventurous, I guess, in, you know, the way things are described, and you know, I like pretty descriptions. But the story is very interesting. The magic system, which I already had read some stuff about, so I kind of knew how it worked, but I'm very fascinated, I'm very interested. And needless to say, even if it takes me a long time because I'm a slow reader, I will finish reading Mistborn and I will read the other 2 books as well. With all of that said, I know this video was not terribly focused on writing. I really hope that the way I talked about writing at the beginning doesn't sound too down, because the first thing that, you know, you always want to ask yourself, and maybe other people ask you as well when you're expressing that you're struggling, is, do you even want to be doing this? Should you be writing? Is it something that you're still passionate about and you still even want to do? And for me, the answer has always been clear. Yes, I love writing. It's part of my identity, and that's not just the only reason that I stick with it. That's evidence to me. I still identify as a writer. I still want to be an author, a published author, but it's just taking me a lot longer than anticipated. Some life things, some stress, some need to process my stress in healthier ways has left me with a little bit of burnout and being kind of stuck in a creative rut. What I need, I think, more than anything right now is a little bit more self-reassurance, a little bit more confidence that I'm still a writer, even if I haven't been writing as much as I want to, even if I haven't been making the progress that I want to, even if I haven't been hitting the goals that I want to. I'm still a writer. All the other things will come one day, but right now I just need to kind of reassure myself I'm still a creative, I'm still an artist, I'm still a writer, I'm still a storyteller, as my shirt says. I specifically got this shirt because I kind of fell in love with the print, with the kind of magic flavor of it, and storyteller just felt right. I may not be a published author, I may not always feel like an artist, I may not always feel creative either, but I am a storyteller. I've been trying to share a little bit more on Instagram because I absorb a lot of writing content on Instagram, on YouTube. I watch so many videos, even if I don't post that often these days. But I do want to start posting more. It makes me really happy. Just sitting here recording has made me so happy, even if I want to cut out half of it because I'm babbling. I hope you enjoyed this video, even though it was kind of random and not very structured, but that's kind of how I like to do things these days. I hope your writing is going well, whatever you're working on. Happy writing and happy reading. Happy storytelling, and I will see you all very soon in another video.